All right, guys, good to be back with you. Obviously, been preparing as soon as we got got word on Sunday night. We get the word just like everybody else does. We get the word on selection Sunday. Some people have asked, do you ever know ahead of time where you're going to go, who you're going to play? We don't. We get it like everybody else. So as soon as we got our opponent, we started to get to work in preparation. Obviously, we need to continue to get healthy. I'll touch on that in a minute. A couple thoughts on Loyola. I think they're obviously a tremendous program. Have had great success over a number of years. Final Four a couple years ago, Sweet 16 last year. So tremendous program. Older guys, as you'd expect, strong, tough kids, well coached. It's a great program, and they're certainly one of the best teams we've played all year, no question about that. As far as our health right now, we're I think getting healthier. I have no update on Kyle or Zed. Those will be game time decisions right now, and we'll know more here honestly in a couple days. I don't have an answer for you right now.
Michi?
Yeah, Michi's fine.
Okay.
What can you do with the week of practice that you haven't been able to do in the last couple of weeks?
We've just been able to get a little more work in, to play a little bit more, to get up and down. We were not able to do that in this compressed schedule. So, you just have a little bit more time to compete and play against each other. Now we did give them Monday off from practice. They did some skill workouts, but gives you a chance to just kind of get up and down and play a little more.
As a coaching staff, when you're coming off of such quick turnarounds like you have been, when you have a week to prepare for one team, what does that enable you to do as a coaching staff? How do you? I mean, I'm sure you could probably overanalyze things, but
yeah.
What are you able to do when you have a full week like you've had to prepare?
Well, I think one, you're obviously not near familiar with them as you are with teams in your league, and vice versa. They can say the same. It's a lot of film study. I think you're trying to get a really good feel for them, and we did that starting on Sunday night. You're literally watching, and for a league opponent that you've already played once, you might watch 4 or 5 games. Obviously, for a team like this that we haven't played, you're watching most of their games throughout the year, at least their last 10 to 12. So it just gives you a little bit more time to kind of prepare and put a game plan in, and obviously playing on Friday does as well.
Neither of those guys have practiced, have they? Or I'm assuming
They've been able to do some things, but not full practices.
Coach Williamson, what stands out about him as a defender? Obviously, the 2-time reigning NBC Defensive Player of the Year.
He's terrific on both ends. He's a terrific player. I think there's no question he's an NBA player. He's got great versatility. Has been really productive for a long time. I think he played on their Final Four team and played an important role on their Final Four team. So he's a terrific talent. Older kid. They're all older. To be honest with you, they're a very old, strong, physical team, and that's why I think they've had so much success.
And then obviously last year, the early exit in the first round, Justin Arns said that you guys have been thinking about that ever since it happened. How much does that play on your mind in terms of something you feel like you have to rectify in this game, or is that not a storyline for you?
We've talked about it. We owned it. That was a little bit different. That was a 2-15. Obviously, this is a matchup where I think it's different in that regard. But certainly, we talked about it. We owned it when it happened. And we want to be focused on being healthy and playing well.
When you look at that for the last 5 games, 4 losses, how much is the new season mantra a real thing going into March?
Well, I think your players feel it. Obviously, I think your guys embrace what kind of this time is all about. I think there's certainly a normal excitement. They still feel the tough stretch we had. I know they do. But I think our challenge is moving forward. And, I think that's the thing. I've reminded them, we've had tough stretches. Teams have had tough stretches and then played well. We've had 3 tournament experiences here as a program, and 2 of them we played very well. 2 years we played very well in them. Obviously, last year we didn't, and I think as much as anything, the idea of a new season is a good thing.
Sorry.
Everything okay out there?
My other question, I didn't even remember at this point, so.
Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah. If you can recall it, we'll come back to you here. You got to be able to play through distractions. Right? All right. There's a focus required from coaches and reporters. All right.
Just looking what Loyola was able to do to Illinois last year, and a lot of that personnel is still back.
Yeah.
They kind of make you guard the full 30 seconds.
Yeah.
And for you guys, obviously defense has been a little bit of a struggle.
Yeah.
This year, I mean, what's the challenge there with teams who are going to make you sit down and actually play defense?
No, they really they attacked in transition. I thought their tournament play, and they were a tournament team before winning that tournament. People thought they weren't, but they were clearly. You look at who they've beaten and how their schedule, but their tournament play was really impressive on the offensive end. They hang their hat on the defensive end. They're outstanding on that end. I think arguably the best defensive team we played. But offensively, they were really good. They were good in transition. They were good at really attacking. And they've got tremendous shooting across the board and a great skill. They've got a really versatile team. So obviously our ability to defend them, both in transition and the half court, is going to be really important.
And obviously, you just said Zed and Kyle are still kind of game time decisions there, but that was the case against Michigan State. It kind of gave Joey a chance to maybe emerge
Yep.
in that game. I'm not saying that can you play through Joey again in this situation, but given what the matchup situation is, how much more valuable does he become in a game like that?
Well, his depth is important. Obviously, we don't win that game without him and probably Jamari's play there. So his depth is important. We just, again, we've talked about the kind of injuries on the front line and in the middle of our lineup. So having depth there is important, and he'll be ready.
Chris, one of the things that Ryan Peden said on the radio Monday was that he sees Loyola Chicago having a lot of Big Ten tendencies, and I'm wondering what that means to you, if you agree, and kind of what that kind of represents heading into the
Yeah, they're very similar to a Big Ten team. Strong, physical. I think they're older than maybe most Big Ten teams, but they're strong and they're physical. Really, really good defensively. And I think that their style of play, they're as physical as any team will play all year. I think they're the most physical team we'll have played all year.
And is there, so obviously there's a lot of guys on your roster who may have not experienced the NCAA tournament before, and I'm curious, at least for you, is there a moment or something, whether it's with Ohio State, whether it was at Butler in your first years, that kind of represents what the NCAA tournament means and kind of you use as an example of, okay, you're going to feel this too when you get there?
I mean, we have some traditions that we do. I'll kind of keep those in-house, leading up to it. But, our guys will get the feel for it. It's such a unique experience. When you go there the day before, there's a lot of media stuff the day before. Practicing in the venue is a unique experience with fans. So I think all that, you're right. We do have a lot of guys that are experiencing it for the first time. It's, their roster, I think, has a roster that's full of a lot of guys who played in that tournament. But I think it'll be an experience that, once it gets to tip, all that stuff's out the door.
Do you have to say anything to those guys that are doing this for the first time? Because as you mentioned, there are quite a few.
No, I think as much as anything, you just try to keep them focusing on doing their job and, competing at a high level. I think that's the most important thing. The stuff around it, they're aware of, but we're not going to spend a whole lot of time talking about it.
And you said, I think, in your opening statement that you don't know a ton about them because you haven't played them, but they don't know a ton about you either. I think most of your losses recently have come second or third time playing a team. Is that an advantage, especially given kind of the slump that you guys can use, that they don't know you as well as some of these Big Ten teams do?
Yeah, I think any coach this time of year is you ask any coach in the country, and they're excited about getting out of conference play. especially when you play 20 games in league play. And I know they play, I think a lot of league games do, maybe 18. So I think anytime you're jumping out of conference, it's an exciting thing for coaches and players.
I want to ask, second half against Penn State, as I kind of rewatched that, you went 7 minutes, I think, without a field goal, although you did have guys get to the foul line, as you alluded to, I think, after that game. Just seemed like it was an awful lot put on EJ and Malachi in that stretch, and that really from 12 minutes all the way to the end of the game. What can you do to alleviate some of that burden? I know Kyle, if he's there, he's a facilitator. Zed, a little bit of a threat too if he's available. Just what can you do to have other guys step up in those moments and
I think we
complement your two?
I think we've got to find the way, Steve, to get more balance across the board, and we've got to look as coaches of ways we can do that with guys. I do think we became a little bit too reliant on those two guys, and it was tough for Malachi because they were really physical with him. It's tough to ask a freshman to do. So I do think we just across the board are going to need a little more balance offensively. It's too much to, I think, ask of those guys and expect it, especially against the caliber of defense that we're going to see on Friday.
Chris, I think a lot of people are excited to watch Malachi go against Williamson on the offensive end, but I'm kind of curious with the other end, Malachi guarding him. Just what have you observed in Malachi's defense this year? He said here, he's still trying to grow. Obviously, he's only a freshman. I think he said he wants to improve off the ball more than anything. Just what's your assessment of him?
He's an 18-year-old, so he's learning. He's learning. He's an 18-year-old going against I don't know how old Williamson is, probably 22, 23. So I do think there's a strength and physicality factor that's going to be a challenge for Malachi. But I think he's anxious he's a kid that just wants to continue to improve, and he's done that throughout the year. Defensively, he needs to. He needs to continue to get better with that. Some of it's a strength issue. Some of the times he gets offensively in trouble is a strength issue as well. There's not a whole lot you can do about that, but I know he's got great respect for Williamson.
They're a very high assist rate team. They're good on both ends of the board with assist rate, but I'm wondering what makes a defense good in terms of assist rate. Like what are the hallmarks of a defense that is good at limiting an opponent's assists?
They really they extend, they pressure, they force you into a lot of one-on-one plays. They don't overhelp a whole lot, so you're not finding ways to drive and kick. They're really, really physical on the ball, but they're just really good in kind of in terms of pressure and extending their pressure. And they consistently do a pretty good job of staying home on shooters.
Don't want to oversimplify things, but now that you've had a chance to step back and look at the Big Ten season, what does this team need to do to make a run in the NCAA tournament? If we're sitting here 2 weeks from now and they're still going, what is it that they've put together?
Again, focus on the things we've got to improve on. I think you're always taking it literally one possession at a time in this tournament, and I think that has to be our focus. It's literally one possession at a time. Have fun with it. Take it one possession at a time and be aggressive in our attack on both ends.
As you've set up practice, and you said those guys are doing some things on the side, is the indication that, guys, this is who we are. If we get those two, that's a big bonus, but may not happen. And can you win the game without them?
Well, listen, I think the indication is those guys are doing everything they can to get back, and hopefully they will get cleared. And we'll see what our roster is on game day. I just don't know right now, Clay. But I think it's not. This is our guys that's going to play. This is our group that's not going to play. Yeah. Our guys understand we've had a season unlike any others with injury, Clay, so they understand it is next man up, and the next guy needs to be ready to play and perform at a high level. All right, guys.